I want to welcome you to another edition of Guidance for the Soul Live, Hearing the Tones. These can often be considered those rock star moments, right? Or is it about the wisdom of the moment? It's both. I get to have my hat handed to me by many people who disagree with various ideas about what a tone can or cannot do for you, depending on what it is in the moment. When I say that I look in the mirror and I am on within a few minutes for the most part, this is the nature of showing up in the moment and saying, I don't care where I'm at, there's something going on. That's what's happening. There's a vibrational equivalency of, it's like the construction workers of the world. This was before the vision of the Ukraine. The flood was predicted by us in the field of vision of Kentucky. It wasn't brought out on the screen because in essence, she's getting told those messages all day long without even knowing why. So when she tuned in and said, is this for us? She just listened for her soul that said, this message is for everybody. It could be for anybody, is more in tune with who we are, correct? We don't have everybody's ears at the moment. The White House is on a precipice of discovery of itself in the near future. How many people want to know what that vision is? No, this is about the nature of love of all, where we plant the seeds for those who can predict the future, own it, share it, and watch as people start to see the beauty of their own visions as they come through for them. You start to enlighten yourself to the nature of who we align with and why. Do I learn from my mistakes is where many go. The Uvalde victims are on the line saying that we have another process like that in discovery. It is a warning shot to those who feel that the vision of my weapons are more important than the children of the world are not being condemned in this woman's vision. But it is a warning to us about the weaponry that we cherish in our hearts. Now, how come I don't give you the details of where and when? That's because it is our soul's vision to keep providing lessons for us to learn so that we can intake the message of guides, right? Of God is where most go. And they start to understand the strength of those souls who say, I'm not here to predict destruction only. That's why many are seeing the beauty of those souls' visions of past come through and say, I was one of those souls. And I'm still there with my mother and father, cherishing their belief system that holds me up in the arms of the vibration of an angel of Jesus is where most are. These soul visions are coming through strong in the nature of saying at some point the White House is going to present a dictate is where many will claim it lies. As Brenda has been told by her own soul, a higher level of love will say, the rules of love are coming through. Any vision that says that you must be this or that, various planes of understanding, but knights in white satin, there is a guide there who is so in love with the vision of, I come on and I state the nature of the disaster. And when I do that vision, our hearts go out to those who are saying, we are there creating that vision already. It has only been, a month or more since the last one, and we have more coming. This is the nature of the predictive quality, right? We just put those visions out there. June 5th was a magic moment for some on the screen. This is also the nature of who I am, to tap into the nature of soul and see that vision blow up on the screen. Okay, everyone is aiming so high in their vision that they forget that their own souls are there working night and day to help them release themselves from the anger and pain that they're holding on to from previous visions of who they thought they were in that moment. This is called growth of soul. Okay? This is why when some of us rise into the occasion of I love who I am enough to show up on the screen, whether or not I look the most beautiful for who I think I am, or whether or not I have a team of people at my disposal to make sure that my wisdom is somehow properly packaged for those people on the screen. Do you want to know what it's like to see people flourish in their visions of professionalism, right? It's not about that. But that's the nature of where I go at some point. In my ethical visions of love, though, I honor all souls. And I say, I honor your vision of victim. If you're feeling like you are a victim of a crime, you're being respected, whether or not you understand that, yes, the pain is too much for some of us to do this kind of work. Yes, some of us cannot handle the shame and guilt that others are placing upon our hearts for even bringing up the topic of weaponry. But, my friends, that's the nature of our lives. As we speak, what shows up in our vision? What shows up on our screen? I play in the vision of political ideology, right? Now we're talking serious business. And that's why the White House is about to demonstrate its strength in those proposals that are starting to come under attack. And we want you to understand it's not about saying, I love you, except that's the vision of what it does. It says, I love you enough to know that you are not the one for me. That's where many go. They don't want to be told how to be. This is not about telling anyone's soul that they need to give up their weaponry. But what we have to do is understand that there are many who have access to those souls who say we are planning an attack yet again on that vision of White House. This time under the guise of development of it. That's another prospect coming through for some of those souls who could care less about the nature of the Constitution, but more about their own visions of my way of life as being tread upon. Okay? Don't tread upon me is where they go. Do you want to know what that vision feels like? To hear from those souls who disarm themselves at some point and say, what the F was I thinking going into that group of people? There are many who have regrets about that day. Many who are caretaking their hearts, their families, and their souls, saying, I messed up. But yet we align with those who are still in that mindset of, I am of faith, I am of justice, I am of the American way. This is about America for the most part. The vibrations that we place upon our hearts are often felt around the world as a nation of independence, correct? We want our independence, not only from those who claim they are of freedom, but those who claim they want to force their vision of freedom upon us. My vision of freedom is that you must do as I am told. That is where many are. Okay, you either abide by my own rules, or I come and I take retribution. That's another topic that many are going to start to understand. It's not to condemn anyone's soul for any vision or vibration in which they vibrate. But when you see a soul of souls say the vibration of retribution is on the rise again, now you know where I land. And I will tell you with all love and kindness that it's not the place to be. I want the souls on the screen to understand why I vibrate in it, because it impacts who we are as souls of love. I am not able to share my wisdom for fear of the retribution of those souls who align with hate, right? I hate you, therefore I'm going to hit you in my mind. Do you want to know what it's like to hear the vision of hatred come at you from another soul? This is why many will say, I aim for a higher vision. I open my heart to their souls. And I say, I honor your vision. I may not agree with it. I may not like it. But I can sure as heck understand why you feel the way you do, considering that your stories are often going to get played out on the screen. Laughter abounds on the soul level. Those souls that say she brings through the lessons of love, not only for others, but for herself. I myself have my own visions of victim from the vision of evangelical Christian. I see it on the screen and say, how dare they, right? And look, lo and behold, who comes across my path in the vision of a soul session. Miss Tammy Faye Baker. She's like, you can call me Tammy Faye. I don't align with the vision of Baker at this moment. She is of soul. She says, I will cherish my names as I was and as I am continuing to create with. Okay? So while this vision is not meant to be a session about retribution, it very much is a part of that idea of in whose name are we calling out when we say those visions of love. You're of source, says her own soul. I align with the vision of love of all. Whether or not I caretake your hearts in my mind is not the answer. I carry you in my heart. That's my soul. My soul is hers. That's where her guidance comes from. Her soul is of the high. Her soul gives her the vision of love, and her soul is definitely the one to pay attention to on the screen. You might want to hear the words of wisdom of love only as it is dealt in those short posts, but many are missing the higher visions of wisdom that actually produced those smaller visions of love. Consciousness Unfolding was one such video in which many of those recent posts were created from. They are the wisdom of all. They may not be everyone's cup of tea, but we grant everyone whatever vision of love that they cherish. Take it, run with it, see it unfold. If it abides by your own vision of love, by all means, pass it on. We ask for retribution is where some people land. They want to have retribution about those who caretake the hearts of others and say, I don't want to listen to this woman's vision of destruction. I want the cherishing of my own heart. That is a different kind of session. That is a different kind of wisdom. But I was giving you one such soul who popped on the screen, who had an honest assessment of why that date came through. Okay? Now, for those of you who are in the wisdom of love of past, we say those visions come to us often as soul workers to show us where we still have some work to do. So that is why we are honoring the vision of love of Uvalde. It is not meant to be of pain and sorrow, but how can it not be? We still cherish those blows that many throw upon our hearts when they say to themselves, my vision of destruction is more important than the vision of love. It is not necessarily meant to be of destruction, but to open up our hearts to the nature of what soul can and cannot do for you. You will rise in the vision of love when you go to your soul. Your soul rises. You don't need to feel the adoration of every soul. What you want is an alignment with those who can carry the torch forward for those visions of love that enlighten us to the nature of who we are on various levels of love. That's another perspective. I am no better than you. I just did my work. I aligned with my heart. It means nothing to anyone else. You're all in alignment with your own souls. Whether or not you choose to believe it or not is up to you. I give you that strength. I give you that wisdom, and I give you that love. So with that, I want to cherish your hearts, your minds, your souls, and say thank you for tuning in to this on-the-spot moment in time that we created. Have a great day.